face Texas. What's maybe different about them now versus when you guys last played?
Well, Deanna Gaston's back. I mean, that's obviously a huge difference. But I feel like they're just really good, and we know that. And so I don't think that we are going to really focus on what's so much different in terms of for them. We've got to be really good. We've got to rebound the basketball, clearly. We've got to really guard the paint. And then offensively, we've got to have really good movement.
What about your team? What do you feel like is different about your team than even just a few weeks ago?
Yeah. Well, I think we just keep growing. And I think we've experienced a game that we didn't feel like we were ourselves at all. And I think we're getting more convicted in terms of how do we keep getting better. And I think we've had really good moments. But I also don't know if we have really put both ends of the floor together. You know, we've had games where we've scored the ball well. We've had games where we've guarded really well. This is the type of game, this is the time of year, you don't get to be selective, you got to do everything. And so for us, I feel like we do continue to get better, but we've got to start to put that together.
Along those lines, is there an excitement maybe the success you guys have had that you still feel like there's a lot of ways you guys can get better and grow? Is there an excitement? Is there a
Yeah, we're not tapped, right? Like we haven't been our very best. So I think there is that. And I think this team just really focuses on that. I think one of the things that we continue to do is we focus on being in the moment. You know, our practice yesterday was really good. Today, I'm really excited to get back into practice today. So this team has just an everyday excitement and a unique togetherness that they really, we've really grown a lot on and off the floor together. So I don't think we talked so much about how we hadn't tapped anything, right? Well, you've seen glimpses now. We've seen really good glimpses, but we haven't seen 40 minutes. And so I think that part, everybody yearns for those 40 minutes of greatness, right? And that's the beautiful part about sport is that you're never going to be perfect, but you keep responding and you keep growing and you keep getting better. So I think when we have that kind of enjoyment when we play, that's when those really good things tend to find you.
Jennie, you've been talking since like early January about trust and confidence and growth.
Mm-hmm.
Have you had many teams that have, I guess, grown, for lack of a better term, as much as this one has from where you were in December to right here now and going to March?
Yeah, that's probably I don't know if it's necessarily a really fair question, and I say that because, we don't celebrate growth anymore. We celebrate wins or losses, right? Or we get so caught up in whether or not you lose to who you're not supposed to lose to, or you're supposed to beat people, and especially here at OU, right? I mean, you look at our football team, and it's you can never win enough. And if you do win, then you didn't run well, or you didn't pass well, or you didn't do this well, right? And so there's always those kinds of factors that go into it. And I think what we've been able to do is to say, okay, we fell short in some areas, but it wasn't one game that seems to be the central focus. It was a month and a half of hard and of growing, but we had the right ideas. We had the right looks. We had the right kind of mindset. Now, was it perfect? No. And defensively, we had to get a lot better. Offensively, we had to get a lot better. And I think we've continued to do that. So is this the most I've ever seen a team grow? Right now, it feels like yes, because we're in it. But I don't know. I just think that there were so much extremes in terms of that win-loss column and less in terms of are we actually growing and getting better.
Jennie, it's great to see Peyton, her game just blossoming in front of her eyes. When you get that 5-star label, there's so much expected, and it's not fair because you don't know exactly. But her all-around game is really pretty special.
Yeah, and she's a perfect example of somebody that's continued to evolve as the season has gone on. And I think, she really is. She's a middle child of 6, and so she plays to people's strengths, and she wants to be part of it. And I think that took a little bit for her to get really comfortable. I think she's more comfortable now. But even in the last game, I mean, you think about when we played Oklahoma State, And she thinks like that point guard sometimes a little bit too much, where she overpasses it, or she really wants to play to somebody else's strength and get them involved. And so that's what you love about her too, right, is that she's just the consummate team player. But it has been really fun to be able to watch her just evolve and her continue to grow. But again, I think it's a whole team effort. I think we've really, because we play a lot of people too, and our whole system relies on whether or not you bring your game and you bring your best, but also play to each other's strengths too. So I think Peyton's just been a really good leader in that capacity.
The 13 rebound, the physicality, you wonder about a player with all her skills. Will she really go in and bang? She did on Saturday. She's got a physical.
Yeah, no, she does. I think there's also a difference of creating physicality and accepting it, and I think there's a balance of both, and you have to, and especially in the Big 12 Conference, this is a physical league, and so you've got to be able to have some of that, and I think she's done a nice job of being able to, to really step up and, in that capacity. But this game tomorrow is going to be a little bit different test in that too.
Sort of along those lines with Sahara,
Mm-hmm.
what you've seen from her, how has her game evolved and her approach evolved?
Mm-hmm.
recently?
Yeah, well, we knew that she was a freshman, right? And so, again, you look at those labels before and you think they're going to come in and but they're still freshmen, and it's still February of your freshman year. And so we've been able to really see her have those moments where you're like, dang, that was really good. And then you have those moments where you say, oh, yeah, she's a freshman, and she's still growing and learning. I think what she's really done a nice job is she brings a competitiveness, and you got to hear that, after our last game, and Lexi was in here and Skylar was in here talking about how she's really raised the level of competitiveness for our team. And when you have two experienced players like that saying that about a freshman, that's pretty incredible. So I think Sahara has those elements of those intangibles of just step on the floor. I mean, she's got a presence, good or bad, she's got that presence. And so I think you've been able to see those moments. But I also feel like she is less concerned about maybe how somebody's guarding her. And I think that kind of got to her a little bit. And now more of, what do we do? What do we need to do? What do I need to do to help us? And you can see that shift. And that's whether it's boards, whether it's passing, whether it's shooting, whatever that is, I think you can really see that with Sahara.
Jenny, we saw back in January, we saw Caitlin Clark get bumped in that court storming and Kyle Filipowski over the weekend. Are you worried at all that people aren't taking this seriously enough, these situations and the precautions?
Yeah, good question. And, it's a hard one to answer until you're in it, to be honest. And I think we can all have so many opinions, just like so many issues, right? We get such strong opinions until it happens, and then all of a sudden your perspective changes. So I know that from a leadership standpoint, the leadership of our university, I know the leadership from our conference, I think they're taking it very seriously, and those are the people that are going to make those changes. So I do believe in their leadership in this.
Jenny, on top of this being a Big 12 championship type game, it's
Mhm.
also senior night,
Mhm.
and you've got a pretty big group. What has that group meant to you, especially in your early career here?
Well, and that's kind of the interesting thing in terms of with this extra COVID year too. So we have a couple that are seniors but will be coming back next year. So the celebration will include Jordan Moser and Kennedy Tucker, and it will just be the two of them. But again, the two of them have been incredible for us, and obviously Nevaeh Todd is a senior that will come back, and Skylar Van is a senior that will come back, and with Lexi and Aubrey, and I'll prepare that for next year. But I think what we've been able to see is this incredible program. The legacy of the program, I think, has been passed down. I think we had great seniors the year before, and they've had great seniors the year before. And so these games are never an easy game because you really want to play for your team. And so sometimes that's really good, and sometimes it gets a little emotional. But we'll hope that it's good.
Just knowing that you guys are on the cusp of another conference title, winning back-to-back, how big would that be for this program? Or how special would it be for you?
Yeah, I mean, anytime that you're vying for a conference championship, and we've been asked this question so many times, and I've pushed it off saying, okay, it's still early in the season, everybody can go for it, and now it's a reality that we're later in a season. I think it's special anytime that you can do that, anytime that you can sit there and not just dream about it, but you potentially have an opportunity to cut some nets down. That's pretty special. However, that's still not our focus. We've got to make sure that we're not trying to make it, and not that we're not trying to make it bigger than it is, because obviously it's a huge deal, but it's one that we've got to just continue to have fun playing, continue to grow, continue to get better. And I think that's something that we learned a year ago that I'm really hopeful we get to learn tomorrow, right? So it's not always in life that you get the same opportunity twice. And the same thing happened last year where this game became so big and we weren't ready for it. And so I'm excited for us to just, at some point, that game's going to be a game, and we've got to be able to really work hard tomorrow.
Jennie, can you talk about the matchup?
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk about the matchup with Texas?
Yeah, I mean, Texas is good. They're very, very good. I mean, there's no question. I think they're ranked, third right now in the country. So, I mean, you can't underestimate them whatsoever. They obviously have a freshman phenom that's incredible. They have size. They have athleticism. They're rebounding like crazy right now. So, but they're a good team. They're not just a one-player program, and so everybody has to do their part tomorrow. So that's something that we've got to really be able to step up and just play. And you got to compete, and you've got to play together. And if we come in this and in islands, we're not going to be very good, but we might have a shot if we have a good team together. So I'm not going to worry about whether or not we win or we lose or what they're going to do. We know that they're good. We respect the heck out of them, and we know that they're going to be ready. And so we've got to focus on us being ready and be able to step across those lines.
Jennie, going back to your answer to Eli's question, you talked about how it wasn't just one game, but obviously that's the one that everybody circles.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like you needed that to?
Oh, it's
grow
easy to say that now,
Yeah,
right? I
yeah,
mean, it's
but
really easy to say that now with the
I know it's
position we're
difficult,
in.
but,
Right.
Is that a different kind of a wake-up call than maybe some of the other struggles that y'all went through in that month?
I do feel like you need adversity in life, right, to be able to know that you can get up and you can go forward. And so if that's our adversity in life that we really needed, I felt like we had plenty of that before that point. But I also feel like when especially, we talk about resiliency, we talk about grit, and we as people need to fall down, roll up our sleeves, and go forward. And I think that has been something that I don't know if we necessarily needed all of that, but we did need the response. We did need, and I feel like we responded in the right way. And what I mean by that is I feel like we looked in the mirror, we owned it. We said, okay, this is where we're at. This is what's happened. How do we get better? Not, oh, it was the officials. Oh, it was Skylar had a concussion. Oh, it was, coach's fault. It was mom and dad's fault. It was whoever else's fault, right? Like, we didn't do any of that. And I think that's where we drew that line and said, okay, this isn't about whether or not you play well. This is about whether or not we play well. And I think we started to practice better. I think we started to understand that power of team more. So to answer it in short, sure. But I also think that we still had a choice in that of how we were going to respond to that. And I think that I'm really proud of the way that we've responded to that.
Just knowing that, Texas is one of the games that you'll get a lot of fans here for, the chance to win a conference championship, beating a team as good as them twice. It seems like it could be a lot of pressure. How do you maybe put that to the side or, manage that kind of pressure?
Mm-hmm. It's my hope that people don't necessarily come because it's Texas or even because it's for a conference championship. My hope is that people come because they've come before and they've fallen in love with this team and they want to come back and they want to be part of it. And I think anybody that comes to our games, and you guys have been to plenty, you can see people feel a part of this. You know, you can see that autograph line at the end of the game growing like crazy. You know, they're not getting paid for that. That's not an NIL. That's something that we want to be able to do to serve our community. And you can see people wait till the end of the game, because at the end of every game, our players are going up in the stands and they're thanking them. And so they've become, our fans haven't come to cheer us on. Our fans have come to be part of what we're doing and what we're trying to build. And so to me, don't come because it's Texas. I don't really care to see one horns down, one beat Texas shirt. I don't want to see any of that. I want you to come because you love this team. That's it. Come and be part of it. Come and be part of it. And that's, to me, that's more of the focus than it is about, because what if we're playing somebody else in our league? And I know we're not. And I know Texas is really good. And I understand rivalries. I totally get that. I also understand there's an element at some point people are going to really start to come here because they love this team.
Anything else, guys? Thanks, Jenny.
You guys, thank you. You guys, thank